Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. There's not much on it yet, but I'm hoping to change that, so here we go, I guess. Oh, this feels weird. Okay. So I wanted to make a video about my solo van trip that I went on at the end of 2021. I booked this trip at the start of the year when I was feeling a bit lost, I suppose. The year ahead kind of felt daunting rather than exciting. Just kind of felt like I needed to change things up, do something for myself and do something out of my comfort zone. So I remember one night feeling quite upset, just talked to my mum, and she was kind of like, you know what, why don't you just take a few weeks off work and go off on your own? And I was like, yeah, that would be, like, I love the idea, but I think I was like, it's a lot of effort, sounds kind of terrifying, and didn't quite know like the practicalities, whether I could make it happen with work and things like that. But then I let it fester for a bit. I don't think it was even a day later, and I had a look at van companies and I booked it in. And yeah, honestly, it was probably the best thing I could have done for myself. So I booked a van through a company that manages van rentals in Australia and New Zealand called Ratpack Travel, and I managed to get 6 weeks off work. Yeah, it kind of crept up on me sooner than I would like. I remember everyone saying like, you must be feeling so excited, this is such an awesome opportunity, blah blah blah, and obviously I knew it was, but at the time, or as it was creeping up, the main thing I felt was anxiety. I had all these thoughts of what could go wrong, or whether it wouldn't be the kind of experience I was expecting it to be or hoping for it to be. And I remember feeling somewhat guilty when people would say those things, because I was like, yes, I'm excited and I'm kind of terrified, and I know I should be more excited, but yeah, I think once I got the van and the first day, I really got into the groove of things. Yeah, and so I started in Christchurch, New Zealand, and travelled up the North Island. There were some places that I couldn't go and kind of had to change my route last minute because of COVID, and some parts of the country were still in lockdowns, so that was a little bit stressful, but managed to make it work. Yeah, and then I dropped the van off back in Christchurch 6 weeks later. I did see people along the way. I kind of stopped off in places where I had friends or family, and occasionally people would meet me. It was also not peak season, I guess, for travelling in New Zealand, so there wasn't heaps of people on the road. I did meet some people along the way, but majority of the time I spent in my own company. But I wanted to talk about the, I guess, main things that I learned from that experience, and lessons I learned from that I've taken throughout my life since then. And yeah, so the first thing that I think was the biggest thing for me that came out of this trip was learning to trust myself, and learning that I can trust myself. A lot of people, you know, asked whether I felt lonely during the trip, and to be honest, I felt more empowered than alone. I felt a sense of comfort and contentness in myself, that, you know, as long as I trust myself and have my own back, I'll be okay. You know, I've only got myself at the end of the day, and I feel like I needed that experience of only having myself, having to make decisions for myself, having to keep myself safe. That really built that trust in myself that I needed. The second thing that I learnt, sounds cliche, but learning that happiness and fulfillment really does come from the smallest of things. And this is something I've struggled with in terms of kind of feeling like I want more in my life, or I'm trying to find fulfillment in different areas. And it really is just, there's so much power in finding the joy in small things. And I guess while I was on this trip, that really resonated for me. You know, things like the sun setting over the lake, or being greeted by ducklings in the morning outside the van, or a wholesome interaction with another camper in the camp kitchen. Yeah, or jamming to a good song in the car and just singing at the top of my lungs, you know, those things are where I feel the most joy, and you know, happiness can come from that moment. It doesn't have to be some big grand thing. And in saying that, I feel like there's also a difference between feeling happy with your life and feeling happy in your life. And I think it's still important to build a life that you feel happy with and satisfied with, but I think that happiness in your life can definitely come from those small things. The third thing I learned, which I kind of already knew, but I was confronted with a little bit more while I was away, was that I need to slow the fuck down. Basically, what I mean by that is living in the moment, being in the present. I'm always kind of feel like I'm going at 100 miles per hour, thinking about the next thing, planning something in the future. And I think that really stood out to me when I was on holiday. I didn't have anywhere to be, I didn't have anything to do apart from explore, relax, be in my own company, and yeah, just being mindful. And I found that I really had to practice, you know, sitting with morning coffee, looking at the view, and that being all I was doing, you know, like I would find myself planning out what I was gonna go get from the grocery store after, or what I was gonna make for dinner, or where I was gonna go to the next day. And I really had to start training myself to just be in that moment and appreciate what is around me. It's something I'm working on because I think it's so important to practice that, just enjoying the moment. And there's actually one day that I remember really vividly where I was out on a walk in nature, and all of a sudden I got hit by a thunder, lightning, hailstorm. And it was actually the moment that I felt most alive probably in the whole 6 weeks, because I was there, I was in it. It was, I got drenched. I'll show a video when I got back into the van, but I just felt so in that moment. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was simply in the storm. I mean, I was trying to get back to my van, but yeah, I was experiencing that moment with all of my senses, and yeah, it was kind of beautiful in a way. Another thing that I really learned about myself during the time I was away was that I really do feel the most myself in nature. I feel a sense of peace, a sense of comfort, a sense of adventure, really just feel my best self. And I think that was an important takeaway to take back into my day-to-day life, where it can be easy to get stuck in mundane routines and, you know, not make the effort to use time in the evenings or the weekends to go and explore new places. And I've really been making an effort this year to do that. And I knew that it was something I was passionate about, but I think I didn't realize the extent of how important nature is to me. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of lessons I learned from my solo van trip is it helped me put my life into perspective and just take a step back from reality. It made me more aware of the difference between living versus existing, and that there's so much more to life than staying in your comfort zone. Yeah, getting out of your bubble, I guess, and putting yourself out there, it really made me think about what life means to me, what I want out of my life. And I guess I took lots of little things from that in terms of not dwelling on minor inconveniences in life, and that there's so much more to life than the day-to-day things that we deal with. And I think even though, you know, at the start of the trip I felt so many things, I felt anxious, overwhelmed, afraid, apprehensive, kind of so many confronting emotions, but at the same time I felt content and empowered and proud and brave. Just, I think it's important to remember that those conflicting emotions can coexist alongside each other. So I guess in conclusion, I would recommend this kind of experience to anyone that has the means to do so and that might be feeling somewhat stuck or lost with where they are in life, especially in your mid-20s. I feel like it's such a confusing time. There's so many things that, you know, we have to be thinking about and navigating, and I'd actually like to do like a separate video on that. So yeah, I don't know, I really do think we learn the most when we're out of our comfort zone, and like that's where the most personal growth happens. And I really hope to do more van life in the future, whether it's on my own or with someone else. I think it's just such a cool way of living, and I'm so thankful that I did that for myself. Yeah, so I guess I wanted to make this video in the hopes that anyone watching might feel inspired to do something similar. I hope you can take something away from this, or if not, just thanks for listening, I guess. I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. That feels so weird to say. But yeah, this is something that I am wanting to build on. Hopefully, watch this space. We will see. Thanks for watching. Oh, I'm sweating.